Welcome to the Point of Convergence podcast. I am your host, Grant Lira. Get ready to sit down, tune in, and implement. Remember, the knowledge you learn here and anywhere else in your life is only worth something to you if you use it. So get implementing after this episode and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of Remodeling Millionaires. Today, we have a family that's no stranger to the interior remodeling space. We're going to learn a little bit about them, their story, and how they became successful. So, without further ado, we have Mike, Mckay, and Elliot here. How are we doing today, guys?
Feeling groovy. Doing well.
Awesome. So, let's kick everything off here like we always do. Just a quick 60-second snippet of what you're focusing on right now, where you're at and kind of how that's looking for you.
Yeah, so really what we're doing is, like you mentioned, interior remodeling. The hot winter projects, typically more inside. So basements, getting more living space in general. Bathroom remodels are always popular throughout the year, but people trying to utilize more of their space with everybody being stuck at home given the current situation.
So really just kind of doubling down, focusing on some more bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, all that stuff as well.
Yeah, we're seeing action that we've never seen before because of them being really imprisoned in their homes based on current conditions. So sitting there looking at the four walls for long extended periods, they're realizing, darling, we have to update this. We can't live any further because the focus is within the home itself. So the other industries have been affected adversely. Our industry has been affected in a tremendous positive manner. I'm not minimalizing what we're going through, but really, frankly, improving the space that they've been in for some time to a degree that they've always wanted to. And now they're taking the actions. It's been excellent.
Yeah, totally. I mean, people are getting a little bit stir crazy. They're getting some cabin fever looking at the same thing over and over. So why not update it, right?
Yes.
Totally. So real quick here, let's just kind of go through the list of, who we all got on the call. Cause it's the first podcast where we've had actually more than one guest. So for those of you listening, we do have 3 here, as I said before. So let's start from the left. Let's start with Mckay there and we'll go across the board.
Sure. So went to college with a business focus and sort of always had in the back of my mind, my dad growing the company, that he would need a couple extra hands on deck. So always was sort of preparing for that in the back of my mind. And it worked out at a time where I graduated, got some experience in the business world, that he was ready to sort of take that next step with the company. So golden opportunity to step in and give him a hand and sort of take it to the next level, if you will. So been with Home Solutions about 5 years now. Back in high school, I had some experience working in the field, doing all the labor stuff, sort of cutting the teeth. So it's always been a part of my life to some degree, but now we're here to mostly focusing on the marketing, doing a lot of the sales as well. So put together a good team and I'm fortunate to be a part of it.
Right on. Switch it over to Mike here. Mike, what do you got to say?
Well, let's clarify. Mckay was exposed to the demo and busting out and the carrying the plaster. So he quickly realized that marketing and sales was his game. So that was perfect. The profile matched to it. So it was good to have that experience in the field, knowing how hard they work and what demo crews and cleanup crews are all about. They're as essential as our skilled tradesmen because of the in-house activities. So the cleanliness, the neatness he learned, and of course, that's part of the profile of our company, is not really knowing we were there when you come home from work, just the work that was done and not the debris left. So we're enjoying ourselves based upon the positive attitudes that's been the dynamics in the field right now.
Awesome. And last but not least, Elliot.
Did I get carried away?
No, God, no, that was great. You're on fire.
All right. So I've been kind of working in the trade since I was about 16, 29 now. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like a very long time because most tradesmen are, older, but I kind of think I'm the new generation of the tradesmen. There's a lot of older workers that I've learned under throughout the years, very skilled trades. And so I've just been taking mental notes this entire time. So now I'm doing, full remodels, running crews, you name it, I'm capable of it.
Totally. And I like that, Elliot, because, I tell people a lot of the times that you've gone through that like experience of bettering yourself and your craft and like learning from people, and absorbing what they have to say. And essentially what that is an investment of your time in yourself, right? You're investing in yourself, and, that's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Yes, correct.
Totally. So let's take a look at this. Let's start all the way from beginning. How did this happen? And, how'd you guys get to where you are now? What did that whole journey look like?
Well, I'll start because about 25 years ago, I was in Wisconsin in a hotel room working for a major company, and I was outside sales rep, and I called home, and Mckay took his first steps. She was in Pittsburgh, he was in Pittsburgh, and I was in Wisconsin. Next day, I called and resigned my position because I didn't want to miss another first. And I moved from Pittsburgh, sold the house, moved back without a job to Toledo. Got involved in the construction company here, and frankly, learned the ins and outs of the marketing, the sales, the distribution, the wholesaling. And then I worked under a couple skilled tradesmen myself, and this again 25 years ago. So I developed into knowing that I wanted to have my own company, and knowing that I had two sons that would be perfect as far as bringing them into the business and creating some family dynamics in a small town in Toledo, Ohio. So it seemed to work out for the right reason, and it blossomed into a simple philosophy of treating others as we wish to be treated. It's so simple.
The golden rule.
Golden rule.
Absolutely. And pretty much through my whole life, I can't remember a time where there wasn't a project going on at my house. So even before officially we got into the construction trades, new decks, new bathrooms were being done like all throughout my childhood. So it's a big part of growing up was living in a construction zone, basically.
That's awesome. And let's talk a little bit about the golden rule, because I see that's super important to you guys. So how do you instill that in not only, the work you do, but the experience that your consumer and, your homeowner has when you guys are there?
I'll take this one.
Go for it.
So we are very strong in cleanliness, manners. I just always want to make the customer feel comfortable in their own home at all times. And they'll tell me they don't even know I'm there most of the time. But just being polite and, basically golden rule. That explains it all.
It really does. And, when you're in this field, like, better than anybody, you almost become like a temporary family member to a lot of these people.
That is true. I've had people tell me it feels like someone's leaving for college when I'm done with the jobs wrapped up.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So just keeping that, friendly, professional, being on time, all that stuff. And that's something it's funny because, that stuff doesn't cost you guys anything to do, right? That's free. But I'm sure that, moving forward, people, because when they talk about projects and they talk about, the quality work you guys do, that's absolutely a conversation. But almost every single time when that homeowner is talking to their neighbor or their friend or whoever, you're going to say, oh yeah, they were on time, super polite, this, that, or it'll get asked, because that's one of the biggest things, right? There's a huge stigma in this field where people are late, people are loud, people are messy. And if you can knock that out, that golden rule, which is absolutely free, I mean, right there, that's a no-brainer for people.
And we also, we're a family company, so everything that we do, we put our family name on it. So we really take heart in the projects that we take on and the effort that we put into them. And that sort of is reciprocated by the customers. Like you said, like they'll have conversations with their neighbors, they'll tell their friends. So that's just the way we want to carry ourselves. Everyone from top to bottom of our staff thinks that way and carries themselves in that way. So it's really awesome.
It's true. We have a lot of repeat customers as well, which means we're doing something right in their house.
They want you back. They miss you. They miss you going off to college.
Oh yeah.
So it's funny because, you know, we are a family business as well. Myself and my brother actually started this company, and I'll speak on, you know, how that experience is for sure. But I want to hear your guys' take on, you know, what it's like working with a family member, or in this case, members, and kind of, you know, the ups, downs, and because I'm sure there's a ton of them.
It's definitely a challenge, and I think in ways most people wouldn't really recognize, because obviously we've had a relationship our whole life. So separating that in a business sense is sometimes challenging, because yes, we're conversing, but there's others outside of our family necessarily that are seeing us converse. So there needs to be some throttling of what we would probably say within our own walls. So you can elaborate
Yeah,
on
well,
that.
you know, I I walked to school in 7 feet of snow and a pair of socks. You know, one of those stories. I don't give that. I don't tell the boys that. Like, I work 7 days a week, 18 hours to build a company, you know, because it's a new world. I have to actually be flexible. As long as their work ethic, their attitudes are proper. I don't expect them to work as hard as I did. And, you know, I think that's what your father didn't want you to work as hard as he did. He wanted you to accomplish success through your mind and your awareness and your wisdom. And I've translated that into the boys here working. You know, I know that they take pride in what they do. I don't need to push them because they push themselves further than I could. And that added pressure of working within the family, I've heard those stories about it. Just sometimes we've had tradesmen come in that worked with their father for years and said, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I just need to, you know, get out of the house and get out of his work environment. So I'm aware of what can transpire. I try to balance it with what needs to be done, what's essential. Leadership, they have to lead. If they're not doing the right thing, then how do I expect my employees to do the right thing? So I think they understand it without me constantly talking about it. And I think if you took them independently and talked about it, they do know they have a responsibility to lead through, not verbally, but lead through actions. And it seems to be working out because the guys have good viewing towards both of these guys. And I have a field supervisor also that's very strong in communications, running the crews. And they also have a good relationship, not only with me, but with the field supervisor, which is ideal for me. So that's one of the big components of family operation. My former wife works in here also with us. So we really are a complete family unit. And it works well, it works smooth, and we all have respect and regards for each other. But I have to insist on things being done in the manner that's leadership actions. And they're growing. And I can't say that they're 100%, but you can see that there's movement. And that's all I ask is movement and growth.
Totally. And, you know, talking about that stuff too, like, even, and this is, you know, just one of the $1 million questions, like when you're building out a team, when you're finding people, where in your situation, you know, you've known your employees for quite a while, it seems like, but when you're hiring on other people, like maybe it's subcontractors or contractors, just teams in that sense, and maybe even Elliot, you can speak on this as well, but like, what do you look for when you do that, and how do you find people that are going to be, you know, quality, motivated, and they're obviously going to represent your guys' name the right way?
Well, you can usually tell those things within the first hour of the job site. But I think these guys really do a good job of doing the interview process and hiring the right guys. Obviously, you're going to have a bad egg every once in a while, but like in any business, you will. But we have a great core right now, and we're always looking for more people as well. But it's got to be the right kind. We like a lot of jacks of the trade type. So that's kind of it.
So typically our field supervisor is really awesome, many years in the business. So he knows the right keywords, how the guys talk, how they present themselves, what we're sort of looking for. Also, typically when we bring someone new on, we bring them on with one of our established tradesmen, whether it be my brother or someone else who's been with the company for a while. And like he said, usually within the first couple hours, we know what you're about. And so we have a good vetting process, if you will, I guess you could say.
It's hire smile. That's one of the things. you can't train a smile, you hire a smile. And you can tell the light-spirited personalities that have lived a good life, and it shows on the way they talk, they smile, they care for themselves. And it's all, we don't do the psychological profiling that companies have moved into to hire somebody, because some people freeze up under those conditions, particularly tradesmen that aren't heavily educated, and which doesn't disqualify them from skill, but they're just not educated. They chose to go into the trades rather than the education field. So we try to look past that. Even sometimes if you don't speak properly, it's, you know, it's okay. It's what your spirit's like. Do you present yourself with a smile? Are you conscious? Are you confident? Are you looking in the eye when you're talking to us? So those are qualified things that Mckay and I do. And then we basically feed them to Riley, Elliot, as he's known in the fields. And Troy, of course, is our field supervisor watching one of the job sites. But these guys protect the credibility of our company because they watch these guys carefully. They'll see their techniques, they'll see their attitudes, and they'll report in after a couple of days, this guy's not going to cut it. This guy's not our fabric. And, you know, I rely on them because they're protecting our credibility of the company.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize just how important that is to safeguard your credibility, because especially with your company, like your name is everything. You know, it's a family business, and that's something you guys don't take lightly. And, you know, something else you said that I really liked was essentially you can somebody might look awesome on paper, but like if they get there and they're not cut from that cloth, you'll never know. You know, you can teach skills, but you can't teach a personality. So that is something where, you know, we definitely as well look at that. And I highly recommend, if you're looking to hire, make sure that you're hiring somebody who is, yeah, they should know their way around, you know, interior remodeling stuff, but also the smile, looking in the eyes, all that stuff, super, super important, because at the end of the day, they're going to be representing you guys in that homeowner's house. And that's going to be what they remember most likely the most, because they spent the most time there.
Well, I have to say, we'll interview, let's say we have a blitz hiring. Our business dictates hiring a couple new techs. We'll interview 30 people. Potentially, we won't bring one person back after the 30 interviews, not one. We'll just rerun the ads and look for another 30 people, you know? So that's what transpires. And if we find one out of 60, hooray, they're going to be with us for years. That's the key. We're not looking for the quantity, it's the quality. And as you know, you have to dig deeper in today's world to find that gem.
And I think the family atmosphere really extends into our workforce, because most of these guys have been with us for several years. They almost consider themselves they are part of the Home Solutions family. So it gives them a little subliminal like motivation, because they're working for their family essentially, as corny as that sounds.
Well, no, but I understand that, because that's like the same thing as, you know, building a company culture, essentially a family culture. You know, they could be interchangeable, and it's super, super important to get everybody in that same boat, sailing the same direction. And I mean, that's when, like, if you get that in place, you really don't have a choice than to become successful. You know, that is truly the driving like factor of how quickly you guys are going to reach success. And I think you guys already figured that out and understand that.
It's basic human nature, is it not? I mean, treat others in a manner, and the dividends are massive. They're massive. It's not a deep science that people should understand very simply. It's very simplistic. So now I wanted to say that it's when somebody takes you aside, one of your workers, and say, "Can I talk to you for a moment?" And they say to you, "I just want to say that I've never had the opportunity in my days to be treated and paid well and treated well by an employer. I seem to be pushed around and worked to the lowest amount of money I could work for. The gratitude, the recognition is very seldom. It's nice to be pulled aside and a worker look at you in the face, say, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for improving my life." That just moves through me. That just moves through me and creates greater heights, you know, for the whole company. The dynamics, that wave just sweeps us. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you guys are all relying on each other. You know what I mean? Like, if you get that synergy going, you're unstoppable then. So let's bust into this for a second here. Been talking a lot about hiring process, talking a lot about culture. Let's get into to how you guys go about sales, because without sales you don't have a business. Sales super important. What does your guys' sales process look like? How do you do that? You do anything special, or just walk me through kind of what that whole process looks like for you guys?
So me and my dad are the primary salesmen, I guess you could say. Pretty much split up our leads pretty evenly. I think what helps us stand out during the sales process is my dad in particular has a very unique mind. And when he walks into a place, we think about, if we live there, what would make sense for us to do. So we'll walk into a basic kitchen, someone just wants their countertops, cabinets replaced, and we'll say, well, would you like to remove this wall connecting to the dining room, opening everything up? Oh, I haven't thought of that before. It's a great idea. So we try to offer unique perspective and get the customer thinking as well. And that makes us more appealing, because we want to make the best decisions for the customer, because we're approaching it as if we live there.
Right on.
Yeah, most salespeople, frankly, they go in to sell a product. We want to sell a concept beyond what their normal thought process is, and has nothing to do with adding money to the job. It has all to do with, we're finished. People go, I am amazed, rather than, no, it's nice, thank you, here's your money. I like that amaze, that wow factor. And it's simplistic, just by a little creative thought when you're in a house. And with the creation of laminate beams and the technology we have, we can make one house basically completely open based on support systems that we have. So I find that when we go in there, when we leave, the enthusiasm when we leave with the information, thoughts. And Mckay sometimes says, I don't listen to them too well when they're talking to me. I do, because it's important to listen to your customer, not just, no, this is the idea. So I say we're home solutions to the customers. And the reason we say solutions is because we can be creative. We can create something that you might never have thought of. And I would say 60% of our sales are based on the creative attitude and ideas that we give our customers.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So you guys are going in there for, maybe they want a countertop done, or whatever, and you're really looking at it and say, well, have you thought about this, because it would make sense for you guys. So you're kind of taking their original idea of what they wanted originally, and maybe suggesting a few other things, and that way you get that wow factor that's going to stick with them a lot longer, as well as they're going to talk about you guys super highly to whoever asks. I think that's awesome. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah, and for the layperson, construction is, as you know, very complex, and people aren't sure of what they can do. They aren't sure of the full possibilities. So we like to at least present that to them and open their minds a little bit to that possibility. And they reciprocate, because, it gives them options. And really, that's what you want when making those decisions.
Totally. Yeah. And that's another great point. Like, a lot of people don't realize that you can knock out some walls, most walls. A lot of people don't realize that. So even something as simple as that, or I'm sure there's a ton of other things that I'm not even thinking about, but yeah, just like giving them those ideas, letting their imagination go wild, and
you can see the tenseness when we first come in. They think we're going to close them. Like, here, sign here, press hard, just give us this one here, the job. And that is the farthest thing from our presentation. And they're kind of like caught for a moment. You can see, you're like, well, aren't you going to try to sell us? No, how can we possibly sell you? We need to talk to you. We need to send some of our thoughts to you via email, review them, send them back. Let's discuss it back and forth. It's amazing how it just filters down to the right project for their budget and their house. So,
yeah.
And then, even when I'm on the job sites, add-ons are always happening. And,
Yep.
I like to adjust things to their comfort level, grab bars, that sort of thing, any little tiny things that the sales staff might miss that would be awesome to go into their, bathroom, kitchen, whatever. That's always very respected by the customer.
Totally. And Elliot, bro, I'm glad you said that too, because when you're there, like, I know that a lot of the times the good idea fairy, comes by, and it'll have an idea, and then, obviously the add-ons start to come in, and, that just goes hand in hand again with the golden rule of, hey, if they like you, they're going to ask you to do more stuff. If they don't like you, they're going to want you to get out fast.
Yeah.
Yes, and that always happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I do want to just backtrack a second here because I want to touch on this as well. You guys are going into that house, and these people are a little bit tense because they're used to, you know, everybody coming in trying to close them. What you guys do is you take that approach, give them some suggestions, tell them what you're thinking. After you guys agree, say, okay, have a great night. We'll send you over some information. You never ask for anything on that first visit.
Never.
That is
There's certain occasions where the job is just so straightforward that
right.
it wouldn't be a big deal for me to at least write it up for them, and that way they have the breakdown pretty much immediately. But for the most part, we're doing pretty elaborate projects at this point, so it will take some collaboration to get to like that final price.
Totally. And you know, it's funny too, because like when you start to take that approach of, you know, just saying like, yeah, okay, we'll send you over some information. Here, the ball's in your court. Like, just look everything over. If it makes sense to you, awesome. Let's do it. Love to work with you. That is such a powerful a powerful thing to do, because you guys are essentially letting them decide. There's no pressure at all, and people love that. They love to buy. They hate to be sold to. So right there, I mean, you're knocking it out of the park. Excuse me. That's awesome. I saw the dog in the background. Let's see here. So, okay, sales, got that locked down. Awesome. Let's take it a step backwards now and talk about your guys' marketing. So I understand, you know, you guys are looking at marketing. You guys are doing some stuff. What's working right now? What's not working? What have you tried? What haven't you tried? You know, let's talk a little bit about how you guys are actually finding people right now.
So I'll let my father start with the origins of the company and some of his marketing strategies he's tried.
Okay.
You know, if you don't spend money, you won't make money. And when I first started out, believe me, you know, I was hoping to get a sale for Friday's payroll to cover payroll, the early days, you know. And it's amazing with the proper attitude, again, alliance to how we believe and feel, is that it's amazing that Wednesday and Thursday I sold something. They gave me a down payment, it covered payroll. It's a freaky story, but that's how you start out in any business, basically. You're living mouth to mouth, or whatever that phrase is. So when I got the money available, I would do bus backboards, I would do billboards, I would do anything to create an interest. If it didn't work, so be it. It was a learned lesson, and I backed off and never did it again. So in the early days, all the marketing techniques that you could do, I was doing. Controlled budget, you know, and I did what I could. And then again, with Mckay's education, his marketing degree, the advent of emails and social media, that's where he came in. So he can take over from that point. But I kept the company going through aggressive marketing, through the old ways of doing it, the yellow pages. You know, a half ad in the yellow pages. I know people go, what's the yellow pages? But it was effective enough to keep the system, the vehicle running. And then we started growing, and our customer base allowed us to, I backed off a little bit of the advertising because it wasn't working. I tried it. I didn't reinvest in it. So it was a learned lesson. And then along comes Mckay.
So we had a pretty good backlog of success prior to me getting there, but that success wasn't necessarily being broadcasted in any way anybody could find us. So that was one of my first large tasks coming into the company, was taking all these positive reviews, all these awesome jobs that we're doing, and making them accessible to the general public, basically. So consolidated most of our marketing, updated like our Angie's List Better Business profiles to have accurate information, pictures of our projects. Facebook was huge. That's pretty much where we release all of our finished products. And we built that network pretty dramatically from the 12 likes we had, I think, when I was took over the profile. So it's really just getting the great work that we've done out there into the public's eyes. So that was the biggest hurdle to start.
That's huge. And you know what? I think on every single one of these interviews I've done so far, one thing in common has been everybody has been documenting their work. And a lot of people, you know, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to take a picture because then, you know, people, a lot of the times, yeah, they are going to do research. They're going to look at your Google reviews. They're going to look at your Facebook, maybe even your Instagram, you know, whatever. And a lot of the times, if you have an absolute bare profile, they're going to be like, who is this? Like, is this a real person? It's a little bit sketchy. So having that stuff on there, super important. You almost need it now because people are going to be doing their research, especially with, you know, bigger projects. They want to know who's doing what. So yes,
Sure.
document, super easy to do. Again, it's free to take pictures. So please do
Well, you know,
that.
Mckay took it a step beyond that also, is I thought as you taking a shot from your iPad is sufficient. Now he's got a professional photographer going in and shooting it in a professional manner. Now, come on, my mind for a moment, I go, come on, an iPhone shot or a professional photographer, what's the difference? Well, when you look at the profile, you can see the professionalism of the job. It accentuates what we've done. So that was something that we arm wrestle a bit about, but I acquiesced based upon, well, why not try it and see what happens? And it was effective.
Totally.
And then, you know, we do a lot of fun stuff too. Like we just shot a commercial finally, and
Oh,
then
there you go. Congrats.
which we aired on the Super Bowl, the big
Really?
game.
The big game.
Yes. And
That
then
nobody got right.
And then we got and we have a Snapchat account, you know, which I'm sure nobody else is doing, and that grew from 10 people looking at it to 50 to 70. So and that really that's a lot of young people using that. So it's a good market audience.
I guess the point that I missed was the engagement with the company, because we're trying to build that familiarity with people, and that's done the right way can be accomplished through a Snapchat, because who doesn't want to see progression pictures through a project, final pictures? Like, if I wasn't in the industry, I would be very interested in just seeing that. And something as easy as Snapchat to follow, you just click on a picture, look at it real quick. Oh, that's cool. It just builds familiarity with our company, and it shows people who we are. It gives it some individuality to it as well.
It's very true. So I'll be snapping all day on my job sites.
That is awesome. I like that a lot, man. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who's doing that. I think that's super unique, and it is a great way to meet people where they're at, because yeah, that's definitely a younger audience who, you know, may or may not be owning a home currently, but you know, eventually they're going to be seeing the work you've done for maybe 2 or 3 years before they reach out.
I'm thinking about productivity now. If he's Snapchatting on the job site, the productivity going to drop. We're gonna have to revisit that.
No. Think about how much people are going to see you guys before right there. I mean, that's so smart.
Marketing guy says that, right? Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
All right.
So that's awesome. You guys are doing, I love the professional photography as well. We also recommend people to do that. Also, before and after shots, like super easy to do. And that's one of the most that's one of the best posts that will get engagement, is that like before and after picture, because a lot of the times it's so dramatic that you're like, wow, okay, that doesn't even look like the same place. But that is awesome there. And if you guys, you know, on the marketing side of things here, were to basically start from scratch, right? No social proof, nothing. You have a marketing budget. What would be the first thing that you guys dive into? What would you think that would be?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Independently or collective thoughts? That's the question. Independent. Let's talk independently to Mckay. Let's see how he'd spend the money.
So where I would start from, I would probably do some sort of grassroots marketing, just to sort of start to build that familiarity within the community, whether that be a local periodical, something in our immediate region. And then sort of from there, as popularity grows, expand that. And then social media, I think from day one, is essential. You really need to have that presence online. So that would always be a portion of like the introductory. And some of that stuff doesn't cost any money to do. So it just makes sense to start off with that. But as far as like marketing, investing money, I would probably start with like local, and then work sort of expanding out from that.
There you go.
Now, for me, I'm the coupon book guy. It gets in your hands. It sits on the coffee table. You know, they turn the page. It sits there. The wife shows it to the husband when she gets home. Honey, we need to do this. Here is a deal. Here's a company on print. They can look at it. So that's still part of our marketing, though. That we have not abandoned that one let's call it coupon book that hits the general region. And I would say we'll get 12 to 18 calls when it first breaks, and maybe a couple every week until the next one comes out. That's instantaneous gratification. I know where my money went. I know somebody called. I can use the mathematics and divide on sales based upon the cost of it. Whereas I don't know in the social media, you can't track it, even though you know your sales are going up.
He can't track it.
I can't track it. He's tracking it. I can track the money spent on the monthly coupon book. I can track that.
But like you mentioned, that has continued to be very successful for us. So it's an effective manner as well as an old school manner. So
I was about to say the dynamic of, you guys there of like, new school and like the old school way of, thinking about marketing. I think that's actually super powerful. And like, even a lot of the times within marketing, like taking a step back, there's so much noise going on online. There's so much different stuff popping up on your computer. A lot of the times a mailer, something like that, maybe a coupon, something that is a lot of times going to break through that noise, because people are like, oh my God, wow, this guy sent us a letter. Like, when was the last time I got
yeah, personalized right to their house. Yes.
Totally. I like that a lot. So let's break into this real quick. So we've talked a little bit about how you guys started, where you guys, how you guys are doing your sales, some of the marketing stuff. Talking to yourselves, when you guys first, got into this company, and, Mike, just kind of thinking about like where your head was at, you quit your job and you were ready to just go all in. You were going kind of paycheck to paycheck in the beginning. What was the mindset there? How long did you do that for? What was really keeping you on track?
Belief in yourself, belief in your philosophies, motivation to have your parents see you develop a company that they could look at you and show pride. And you can see the smile when they'd walk in the office, my first office, smaller office, they'd walk in and see a functioning business that I owned. There's nothing like your parents smiling and knowing that sense that they're experiencing, that they are proud of their son's behavior, so proud of your son's success. Oh, we lost the battery.
Still there? All right, good.
So that was really, it's amazing when those dynamics are in place. You're doing the right thing. You know that you're making your parents proud. It means something. And as you said, once something gets going with the right idea, right philosophy, what can stop it? What can stop it? We're an essential part of what the consumer needs. They have a home. It's the biggest investment they're ever going to have. They find somebody that has the right philosophy. There's no intent whatsoever than to deliver service to them that they'll be proud of, and they'll talk about it to, like, say, all their friends, all their relatives, all their workers. So I just think in the basic concept of life, right philosophy and ownership of something that's non-changing, ownership of who you are, what you stand for, how you were brought up, is a key component to anybody's success, no matter what industry it is.
You know what? And that is so unbelievably powerful, because a lot of people, when they think about, starting their own company or starting their own whatever, a lot of the times, straight up money, driving factor, right? They want money. That's it. And that's okay. You can definitely get like that. But what you just said there, your why you were doing this and finding that why was so powerful. There's like literally nothing that would have stopped you from that, because you paint that picture for yourself of what it's going to be like to have your parents look at you and be proud of something that their son built. I mean, that is something that is just unbreakable. No matter what happens, there's not going to be a single factor that you can't control that's going to come between that. In addition to that, believing in yourself, right? Because everybody has those doubts. Everybody thinks like, oh man, what if this is crazy? What if, that guy at work that I quit my job told me it was nuts? What if he was right? What if my girlfriend was right? What if my friends were right? No, don't have those limiting factors. Know that people are going to think in the beginning, yeah, you're nuts, and that's fine. They don't think the same as you do, because obviously if you're here in this virtual Zoom meeting, or if you're, listening at home, we're talking to a different kind of people here. These people understand that you guys, myself, you guys, everybody else out there, we are the only people that set the limits, right? We got to make sure that no matter what happens, we don't set those limiting beliefs, because that's what's going to kill dreams faster than anything. And then looking at everything else here, those of you guys listening in here, we just had a nice change of scenery. We're sitting down now. The real question is, did the dog come with you guys?
Yes.
That's good.
He's our pal. He's in the office and creates some good dynamics there too. So yeah.
Awesome. Let's wrap everything up here. I got one more question for you guys, and I'd love to just kind of get each one of your input on this, because I think this will be really interesting to hear all of your input on it. If you could, whether this be for like Mike when you first started the company, or whether this be Mckay and Elliot when you guys joined in, like what was one thing that you wish that you could have told yourself when you first were getting into this, right? If you today, right, present, everybody going back to whenever they first got involved in the company, what would be something that you guys would all tell yourself? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, so whoever's ready first, just fire away.
I'll go. So I've been here since day one, and during that about 2-year span, I was also going to community college at the time. I didn't really have a direction while I was going there, so I stopped doing that. I accidentally got really good at doing this, and then so I would tell myself to just stay with the trades and focus all my energy there, which I have been ever since.
Rock on.
It's sound a little weird, but I did enough self-talk and understanding the liabilities. Oops.
I can still hear you guys. Okay. There we go.
All right. Understanding the liabilities, the possibilities, giving it a moment's thought, and then saying it's not going to affect me. So I can't come up with something I would redo differently. It was charge. It was put the blinders on and move forward. And the outcome is what we've created here. So that's really the facts of the matter. I couldn't come up with a different path.
I guess one thing I might have done a little bit differently is in my higher education, maybe had more of a focus on the construction industry per se. I don't feel like that's severely limited me, but I think it would have given me more of like a jumping off point if I would have had that background. Like I said, I did take business courses, sort of broad scale, so I'd be prepared for this type of world. But I think with the a little bit more technical knowledge at the beginning, sort of would have escalated quicker.
Right on. Guys, really great stuff today. I know that we're all busy, so I appreciate your time out here. Where can we get in contact with you guys? Where can we learn more about you? Where can we find you at?
So we have our main website, homesolutionsofmv.com. Can also find us by that handle on Instagram, Facebook, where we release most of our projects. We also have a Snapchat, and our Facebook, we have all those handles listed, so that'd be a good central point. And yeah, definitely recommend the follow. It's a fun thing that we do, and we love sharing it with people.
Yeah, I'd like to add, it is enjoyable. That's the thing. At my age, a lot of people are backing away from the company. Now, I have to tell you, I've cut the hours down a little bit from the 16 hours per day, 7 days a week, which was the content of bringing the boys in, allowing me that flexibility to enjoy and have some recreational time. And of course, that old adage of too much work makes Jack a dull boy, or however that goes again. I've always recreated. I always let myself enjoy our successes, but we enjoy it. We go in a house. I left the house today with Mckay and go, I love this. This is enjoyable. Meeting new people every day, new adventures, new stories, and they enjoy it because we enjoy it. We're interested in them. And tell us about you. Where you been? How'd you get here? And I find it pleasurable. I find it something to talk about afterwards and days afterwards. So the joy of of what we do is transferred into our projects, our people, and the finished programs that we do inside consumers' homes.
That's perfect. And yeah, I mean, if you know, looking at people who are starting their own, company right now, a lot of you listening out there, like in the beginning, just quite frankly, like it's going to suck. You got to put your nose to the grindstone. You got to do what you got to do. But right there, like eventually you will get to the point where, yeah, you're not having the same issues you're having today. And you're going to be actually enjoying what you do. And that's going to make the world of difference. So if you guys want to check out, any of the stuff we just talked about, it will all be in the description. Thank you for listening. Any parting words?
That was fun. Enjoyed it. Again, enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity. Anytime we can spread what we're all about, we love it.
Right on. Right on.